Hey, just a reminder, everybody, thanks for coming. I don't think we have anybody new here that wasn't here this morning, so I don't have to repeat too much. Just make sure your cell phones are turned to vibrate if you would. And if you need any help, yeah, all the same people are here. If you need any help getting on the web at all, just let us know right now. If you can't, if you're having trouble with it, there you go. Okay. Just joking around. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to try to really, we don't want you to be blown away by this talk. We're going to do what you're absolutely going to be able to do after this are the couple really basic things you want to do. You want to put pictures on your cache page. Perhaps you want to put a link on your cache page. Perhaps a geo-checker for your puzzle. And by the end of this, you're absolutely going to be able to do that. It's not going to look, you know, it doesn't have to look perfect. But if you get all that information on it, that's a good start. So, okay, before we get started, handouts, we don't have any handouts here. What Tim is going to do after this, and we'll post it, information on the cache page. We'll post the YouTube video links, and then the links to the handouts, okay? So you're probably going to want to take a few notes during this, and I'll highlight when I want you to take a note when it's very important. Otherwise, maybe it's best to just kind of watch and listen, and we're going to take you through the basics. We'll just define a little bit about what HTML is. We won't get bogged down there in technical terms, but it's probably appropriate for us to talk a little bit about what that means and such.
No, we don't need the computers, right?
Good question. The computers will be handy at a point, because what we're going to do is refer you to a couple cache pages. There's a couple really cool cache pages. I surveyed geocachers, and I said, so how did you figure out how to make cache pages? I know how I do it. And my friend Martin at the Goldie Digger says, well, I found this cool cache page by Gizmo Guy on the internet, and he's a geocacher, and he, on his page, he basically wrote all the basic HTML codes for everything he thinks was cool to put on cache pages, and it's very simple and very easy to copy and paste the code there.
We can't get on, so it's a moot point.
Yeah, I know some people can't. I'm sorry, it's just, you know how... Yeah, we only have so many. I think there's only so many accesses we have to the Wi-Fi. Sorry, but that's okay. You'll be able to do it when you get home. It's no problem. Anyway, you can see up on the if you guys went to the cache bash this year, that's just a cache page that I did for one of my caches, and it doesn't have to be really fancy. I put a graphic or a pic on there I stole off Google. One of my favorite places to go for images is I'll go on google.com. And if you go to Google and you look at the menu on the top of the screen, it will tell you you have various options. You can choose maps or search or you know, images. And often I'll go to Google Images, and then you just put in any name you want. Whether it's, I was just helping a gentleman back there, and he was like, he's going to do Peanuts cache pages, and we just put in Linus or the Great Pumpkin, and then it came up with all these cool Peanuts images. And so then we can grab one from there, and we can work with that. But anyway, cache pages don't have to be fancy. It's nice to put a picture on, and I made and it's so easy to do that. You'll see in a little bit. Picture on there, and the text I made the same color as the primary color of the picture, which is also very easy to do, not difficult at all. And then it's just not a boring black text cache page, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, HTML. I should probably let Tim talk a little bit more about this, but because I don't understand all the subtleties about it. But it is the basic programming language that how web browsers understand websites. And it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Yeah, and basically it's the language that your internet browser understands and can understand web pages.
Basically on this one, just a quick view of what your standard coding sort of looks like. Something I kind of tend to use. The HTML basically forms how your browser displays the text and images itself, and then it ends up putting it literally into what you would normally see. Once your browser receives the coding, you put together, and you get something like this. This is a cache page that I ended up putting together fairly quickly. Again, it doesn't have to be something fancy. It's just got a couple of pictures and some text on it. But it's kind of organized a little bit uniquely from a lot of those that you see out there.
Yeah. All right. So regarding some of the basics, just defining a couple things. HTML elements. What is an element? It's kind of a code that, again, tells the web browser how to present things. What color do we want to make the text? How big? Where do we want to put the picture? So yeah, elements are always, this is a real key thing to know. You can't see it maybe really well up here. But elements are always surrounded by the less than, greater than arrows. And these are on your typewriter keypad, just to the right of your space bar. The little arrows to the left and right that we call those less than or greater than. Your elements are always in there. And an element tells your web browser like what size to make the Verdana text, for example. And it's saying put it in the center. It just tells your browser what to do with and how it wants to display something. Yeah, and then basically that is what is in there is called a tag between those two signs. And again, there's always one at the beginning and the end of an element. You have those two arrows. Well, don't worry, you don't have to memorize this. I'm just kind of just telling it to you. So when we're going to repeat these things several times, then you'll get them and you'll understand what they mean. Yeah, Tim might be able to explain a little bit more about the elements, tags, attributes. I'm not really clear on the attributes.
That's fine. What we were saying here, there's usually one beginning and one ending tag for each element. Basically what that means is you have a tag at the beginning to mark the start of a certain code. You have another tag at the very end marking the end of that very specific code. So here's your beginning, here's your end, this is what I want you to do right here in the middle. On the bottom here, the elements within these tags contain keywords. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but they also may contain what's called attributes and their attribute values. So I guess a key example for this would be a tag. You're looking to change the font of something. An attribute would be the actual font that you want to use, or the size of the font that you want it to display in. Those are attributes. So you have one beginning tag saying, okay, this is the font that I want to use, but then I want it to have this size, this color, this font. Those will be the attributes that are added to the tags. And then at the very end of it, you would have your ending tag. So this is the beginning, this is the end, here's what I want it to exactly do. And this is basically what we just said. Certain line, color equals red. Red being the actual attribute itself. HR is actually one of the tags, and we'll get into that in just a little bit as well.
You guys don't have to memorize this. We're just trying to give you a little background on what this all means. In a few minutes, we'll be showing you just how to copy and paste this information from an informational website. But you should understand a little bit what's going on. We aren't going to get bogged down in it, but it's kind of neat. Once you start working with it, you'll see the repetitiveness of it over and over after you do it a few times. Like, oh, that's what that means. So that's at the beginning of my paragraph, and at the end of my paragraph, I have the tag at the start and the finish saying for that paragraph, I want the text this size, and I want it Verdana in this color. And then, but I just want it on that paragraph. So at the start of the paragraph, it starts it. At the end, it ends it.
So basically, if you miss a tag, like at the end, it's going to change what you put on.
Yeah. So her point is, if you forget to put a tag at the end of something, yes, then your browser doesn't know to end it there. So everything after that, it applies to as well. And that's why we're going to show you in a few minutes, and we copy and paste and kind of, we'll call it a sandbox. We'll kind of we'll practice, we'll copy and paste and see what it looks like, then and correct those problems if we see them. We're like, oh no, I don't want it all to look like that, you know. Anything here? Oh yeah, right. So those of you, most of you have created cache pages. On your edit the cache page, there is a little box that says the descriptions below I'm entering are in HTML. That's very important to check, because if you don't check it, it assumes it's just plain, boring, black text, and then it will go with that. Oh yeah, so geocaching.com doesn't share the same rules as the general necessarily for us creating cache pages. They have certain little rules. They don't like us to do certain things, so we can't do everything at geocaching.com on our cache page we could do on the general web. For example, you don't see, when you pull up a cache page, music doesn't automatically play. When I asked Dave about that many years ago, he says, well, yes, they don't allow that, and when you try to enter code, the geocaching.com, you know, they automatically rips that out and throws it away. Because that, you know, it's just, I did run across one cache. There was a sign out in southwestern Wisconsin that before that rule was instituted, it still has music that plays. When you go to the cache page, it starts playing a little thing. But yeah, so there's some things they don't allow, and I think they're called executable codes or something like that, aren't they? When you,
yeah, like you can't put JavaScript in there. You can link to a Java page, which is different. But you know, anything in line code is just going to get disabled and script out.
yeah. So that just we want to kind of give you the big background. That's all. So you don't have to memorize all this, but there's interesting things about it. Okay, so yeah, we don't have a handout for you right now, which is okay. Let's see. Yeah, maybe you can, I don't know if you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. The handout, we unfortunately do not have that for you to have in your hands today. The handout basically just has every tag that geocaching.com currently supports. The handout will be made available to you. We'll have a link on the YouTube page that you'll be able to take a look and download. It's basically going to have what the tag is, how you would actually implement it into a HTML code, and kind of a example of what it would look like on a cache page. Second, however, even though geocaching.com does support the specific tag, certain browsers do not. So that's kind of something that maybe you don't really have to think about. A lot of website builders think about that, because there's Safari, there's Google Chrome, there's Internet Explorer, there's this, that, and the other thing. And everybody uses one that's different than the other. Well, it may not appear exactly as you had anticipated it on every single browser. Good question?
Yeah, I have nothing to do with it. I mean, that might be a reason why people should consider upgrading their browser to the current version. Some people don't like change, but sometimes to go from Windows Internet Explorer 7 to 8 and 9 might incorporate that when sooner or later you can navigate using the tool.
Right. He just basically brought up that everybody should probably update their browser with the most current version, so that all of the most current coding is actually scripted inside of that program as well. So we have some items that pretty much you can find to help you code these pages. One of the ones basically help with works of art. That's what I like to call them, because that's basically what it is. And if you like the way that it looks, that's all that matters. If somebody else doesn't like the way that it looks, well, that's just tough. That's works of art. I love the way this looks. Well, I don't. Well, I don't really care. And you'll have those people every once in a while, which is fine. One of these tools that you can use is a nice little program called Notepad++.